Hello and welcome to another edition of the Transfer Talk podcast. And for the first time, we have gone international. We're in Holland and we're with the one and only Jaap Stam. Jaap, thank you so much for joining us. Some amazing, some controversial moments in your career. This is the moment where you reveal all.
All of it, yeah.
Jaap, your first few years in Holland, outside the top league, but then come 1996, PSV Eindhoven come calling.
Yeah.
One of the big giants, if not the giant of Dutch football. How did that come about and what was going through your mind when that move came about?
I was surprised because 6 months before I made a transfer to Willem II in Holland. Played quite well, started playing quite well, from the beginning at Willem II. And then, of course, after 6 months, PSV Eindhoven came knocking on the door. And of course, I was quite surprised. Always my aim was, to play in Holland, to play at the highest level, to go eventually to the national team. So at winter time, in the winter break, Dick Advocaat, the manager at the time at PSV Eindhoven, he sent his men towards my house to knock on the door and say, okay, we want to buy you. For me, it was a great move, because I was joining one of the top teams in Holland at the time. They were doing very well, a lot of quality players. And I wanted to show myself, in that top as well in Holland in the league at the time.
Well, you certainly did. The first season champions and your Dutch Footballer of the Year to boot.
Yeah.
Come the end of that season, though, was there interest then from even bigger clubs than PSV Eindhoven?
I don't know if it was the first season when I was there, because everything, like you say, and everything went very well. We won the league. I joined the national team as well because Hiddink was the manager at that time, so he invited me to play for the national team as well, which was a great achievement for myself. Like you're saying, being voted best player in Holland, so that was a great achievement. Of course, there was some interest probably towards the end of that season, but I just signed a new contract and I just joined one of the biggest clubs, and I always said for myself as well, and in the family with my wife, we talk about it as well, and the parents at the time as well, that first you want to establish yourself in the league over here, you want to do well, you want to grow as a player, you want to become a better player, and then eventually you might want to make that step abroad to hopefully England. And so the first season I already said, if there's a team who wants to buy me, I'm going to be staying in Holland first, to have a look how that's going to work out for several seasons, and then hopefully I can make that step to a top club in Europe.
Yeah, you could say that did happen. If you fast forward to the summer of 1998, Manchester United made you the world's most expensive defender. We will go into the ins and outs of what happened with your arrival and your departure in a moment. But when did you first hear that Manchester United wanted you?
I think it was in the second season of PSV Eindhoven, and my agent phoned me, and he told me that there was contact from United, that they were following me already for quite a bit and quite a long time. They've seen me play in the Champions League as well with PSV Eindhoven against Newcastle as well, and they were very interested to buy me. Did
that affect you?
Of course. Of course, it affects me as a player, and not really my performances, but when you, especially in Holland, when you establish yourself, you're doing well and you're growing as a player, your status as a player, as a person becomes bigger and bigger. Basically, people are going to watch it. They're going to be, noticing everything if you make a mistake as well. So that's how it goes, and that's normal, and that's with the pressure from a player as well. So you just need to handle it. You need to learn to live with it, basically. And then in the second season of PSV Eindhoven, they showed interest. But there were also other teams following me. So it's like the big teams in Spain and Italy as well. They were following me as well. The top teams like Juventus and Inter and Milan and the Madrids. And then towards that end of the season, United were very keen on signing me, and I said that I didn't want to go yet because I didn't felt ready as a person to make that step, basically to go and live abroad and to join a big team like that. So we made that decision to stay. PSV Eindhoven offered me a new contract as well at that time. I signed a new deal, and we went on basically.
Then tell us about that meeting with Alex Ferguson. When and where did it happen? What did he say to you?
After me signing that new contract in the third season, after half a season, I was basically ready to move on. And that's what we spoke about with the club as well. So the club wasn't very happy with me, signed a new deal, now he wants to go. So you know, so they try to get everything out of it, out of that transfer sum as well, of course, which is quite normal. But then we got in contact with United again. You know, they were still following me already all season. I think Fergie's brother was watching a lot of games, you know, at the time. So basically, they knew me very well as a player, but also as a person. You know, in PSV Eindhoven, everybody can watch the training sessions as well. So they've probably been there as well, so they can see me, you know, within the group, on the pitch, in the training sessions as well, and how my mentality was as well, which I think is very good if you're scouting players. So you really need to learn that player if you want to make a big decision in buying a player for a lot of money. And then, yeah, we went into talks with United, or my agent went into talks, and then of course you get this meeting with Sir Alex, and before that I spoke to him on the phone a couple of times, so that was quite surprising for me, a big surprise, because you know, when you go to school in Holland, you can speak, or you learn to speak English, you know, and to write English as well, but English is different than the Scottish language. So when I spoke to Sir Alex on the phone, you know, I was quite surprised, and I always needed to focus myself on what he was saying, of course, you know, as you can understand. And so I spoke to him on the phone a couple of times, but then we had this meeting. I think you came to Holland once, and we had this meeting somewhere in Amsterdam, and that was a very good meeting. You know, he was very clear in what how he saw me as a player, in me joining United. That they were following me for quite a long time already, and thinking that I would fit in the team quite well, basically.
Because he must have made you feel like $1 million, Alex Ferguson, personally coming to meet you. What were the words that you remember from that meeting that really resonated with you and thought, well, basically, right, I've got to go?
Well, not so much in I got to go. You know, basically when he speaks to young players or whatever, and to me as well, and it's, how are you, son? That's the first thing that he's saying when he meets you. So he tries to give you a good feeling, you know, like a relaxed feeling when he talks to you, and I think that's very good when he does that, you know. But of course, you know, it's very flattering, basically, if you talk to a person like that, you know, who's achieved so much within that club, and he's been there for so many years and won a lot of trophies, that he wants to sign you, and you know, that gives you, as a player, gives you a great feeling.
Because I've read it was only about 30 minutes, the meeting, and he basically just said, I want you to come and I want you to help us win the Champions League.
It wasn't a long meeting. No, that's true. You know, we met, and also because of, you know, you don't have a lot of stuff to talk about, basically, myself at the time, because you're a young player. You know, you're sitting, you know, you're facing a great manager, so it's quite, and you need to speak English as well, so it's quite, you know, tense as well, the situation for myself, and what the hell am I going to say now? So, you know, but it's great, you know, and like I said, you know, he of course made his, how do you say, his thoughts clear to me in okay, this is what I want to do. You know, I'm building a team. I've already got a great team, you know, but I want to have additional players within that team that help me going forward, and to step up and win a major trophy in Europe, basically, and to keep on winning the league as well. And you know, and I see you as one of these pawns within that team. So that's, well, that lifts you up. That gives you a great feeling.
At the time, though, Jaap, did you think what was happening was actually against the rules? Because we call it tapping up now, unofficial approach. Was that going through your mind at the time?
No, not at all, because when it was in my book, basically, and we spoke about it when it came out, that book, then a lot of people spoke about, you know, when Fergie is now, but it's, I think, and I know, basically, and I think everybody knows, is that it happens in football. And it's not about bringing or getting a player out of his focus or whatever, you know, to lure him away from that team or whatever, you know. And it wasn't totally like that, because they were and Fergie was very open to me as well, you know. And then we just had a conversation, you know. He just expressed his feelings, his thoughts about me as a player, basically. And he told me as well, you know, it's, you know, just think about it. You know, if you don't want to go, then you make that decision, then it's fine. You know, then we go and look for somebody else.
So you're a big fish at PSV Eindhoven, one of the major players. You'd won the championship, you'd been Dutch Player of the Year. Then you walk into a dressing room that is full of ego, full of personality, outspoken individuals. You've got Ferguson, you've got Schmeichel, you've got Keane. Yeah. Where were you in that standing?
Well, you start, how do you say, you start from scratch, from zero again, basically, because I was, like you're saying, in Holland I was there at the top. I was one of the best players, of course, one of the best Dutch players there was. And then you go and join a team like that, then basically you start from down here again, basically. You need to prove yourself, and you need to work your way up and show the players what you can do, show the fans and everybody in the UK in what you can do, and then hopefully you can bring the same success as what I had in Holland, basically.
Did anyone scare you in that dressing room?
No, they didn't scare me because they were quite nice. I remember I joined up in Norway when they were in pre-season tour. That was my first day because our oldest daughter was just born. So Fergie gave me a couple of days extra, and we played, of course, in '98 in the World Cup. Sure. So we made it until the third and fourth place game. So after that, I had a couple of days. I think it was only 10 days basically. And my daughter needed to be born, and then I needed to join United in Norway. So it was quite an exciting 10 days that as well. So like the whole season basically, coming season. So I joined up in Norway. Everybody was really friendly. They were very good, very easygoing. Nobody tried to intimidate me or try to prove or tell me you're just like a small fish now and you need to work your way up to that big one. Not at all. So I blended it quite well.
Did that surprise you though? Because you must have heard of the reputations of the likes of Peter Schmeichel, Roy Keane.
Yes, I did. Because when I made that transfer and everything went into the open in papers as well. People start talking about United. There's a lot of more interest in Holland as well at that time for United, of course, with all the players that they had. The quality of the players, but also the personalities of the players as well, of course, in that dressing room. So. You go in there and not expecting anything, and just be quiet and just sit down there in that corner where your place is, and then show yourself in training sessions and try to get a good relationship with the lads and see how it goes.
I remember the Community Shield at the beginning of that season.
Yeah.
Heavy defeat against Arsenal, and there was a lot of criticism towards your performance and questioning Sir Alex Ferguson, questioning United, why have they spent this much money, a world record on a defender.
Yeah.
Did you doubt yourself at any point, and did you ever think about that price tag, and was it a weight on your shoulders?
Yeah, you think about that price tag because you're, like you're saying in the beginning, you're the world's most expensive defender at the time, and already in the World Cup, people start noticing you. There's a lot of English press coming to the Dutch games as well, and asking a lot of questions. And hopefully that went reasonably okay, that World Cup. But then you join United, that a lot of pressure is on me at that time to do well, to perform. I think pre-season, the games that I played went quite well, went okay. And then you've got the start of the league. Beginning, first difficult game, basically. A lot of tension on that game for myself as well, a bit of stress, a bit of nerves as well. And then you need to go into that game and play it. But it's also a thing of getting used to everything, getting used to the league, getting used to the opponents. And that's why you go to a different league to join the top teams, because you get challenged again. And to become one of the best players or one of the best defenders in the world, you need to get challenged, you need to play against better teams, you need to play against better players. So you can measure yourself, and you're learning a lot more in what do I need to do to improve myself, to help this team out, to help myself out, the manager out, so we can win the league, and that's why Fergie, he and his brother as well, and the other people at United as well, they scouted me for like a long period because they know what I can do, that I can grow into certain situations and adapt myself to certain situations, to certain levels as well, to become a better player. And they started to learn my mentality as well, that I don't give in, I keep on going, even when times are hard, and then hopefully I come out on top.
To say that the season improved for you and United is a bit of an understatement. It became a historic season, the unprecedented treble. What was it about that team that helped you achieve that? And was there one particular moment where yourself or the rest of the players thought, something is happening here, we can do this?
I think it's at first, if you want to do well, if you want to win prizes, you need to have quality players, and that's for every manager. It's very important, the quality that you have on the pitch, of course, because as a manager you can do so much. You can help them, you can give your experience and everything, your tactical ideas and decision making. You can help the players out, but you need to, of course, give the players a good feeling that they want to fight for you as well. But you need to have quality if you want to do well. So for us, and that's why Fergie came to me as well and brought me over, and together with the other players as well. He wants to build a team that can win trophies. That means you need to have quality. You need to have defensive ability, scoring ability. You need to have a lot of stamina, running in on the pitch as well, with in combination with the quality, of course, of the player, that he can bring something extra as well in terms of on the ball, in playing possession, in scoring goals as well. But also you need to have players who are very strong in their heads as well. So mentally they need to be very strong and need to keep on going, and you need to have a fighting spirit. So and that's the combination. That's one thing that I appreciate a lot in Fergie's managing style, that he can really build a team. He can get the right players together to do well. And in that season, the start maybe we needed to get used to each other, but then we grew into the season, and we kept on winning. You can see that teams were getting afraid of us playing against us. Teams were like defending a lot. We didn't give in by taking rash decisions or stupid decisions at times. We kept on playing, we kept on pushing to trying to score that goal. So a lot of games we only won by 1-0 or whatever, and we scored a lot of goals towards the end of the season because or the end of the game, because a lot of teams, they thought, okay, as long as we stay into the game, we get that clean sheet, we defend, we get maybe that one break, and then we can score, or we at least get a point against United. But we always seem to manage with the stamina, the quality that we had, that we always could score towards the end of that game. And then a lot of people say that's luck. No, it's not only luck, because we knew towards the end of the game that the teams were getting tired. So and eventually, when teams are getting tired, you get more space, and then we have the players who only need that little bit of space to put their foot or head against it to score that one goal.
Was there one moment
that gave us that feeling?
Yeah.
It's difficult to say. Okay, there's only one moment. I think we had a winning streak of a lot of games, and in that streak you have the feeling that you're becoming unbeatable. And because of the personalities that we have in the team, it was not like what other teams sometimes have got when they win a lot of games, that they're thinking, okay, next game, we don't need to be that focused, we're going to be winning anyway. No, because all the plays, the quality that we have, we kept ourselves playing on our toes. We kept ourselves very aggressive and sharp, because there was no room for slowing down, and there was no room for thinking, okay, this is going to be an easy game. Because all the players wanted to have success. They all wanted to go for to win those trophies and every trophy. And we never spoke about, okay, we're going to go for the Champions League or to win the league, and then the other one, the FA Cup, is not that important. We always spoke within the squad as well. We're going to go and we look at it from game to game, and from, if it's possible, from trophy to trophy, if you can talk about it like that. But we're going to be trying to win every game to see where we can end.
Yeah, but after the treble-winning season, United went on to win the title, to make it 3 titles in a row in 2000 and 2001. But there was no Champions League success in those 2 seasons. No. Looking back now, do you think United might have missed a trick, particularly in the transfer market, in the way they invested in the squad after the treble season?
I think the manager at the time thought, okay, this team is still good enough, fresh enough to compete again to win that Champions League trophy. I think what everybody needs to understand as well, in going into this Champions League to keep on winning it year after year, it's going to be very difficult. So sometimes you need to have that bit of luck as well in games to perform well and to get to that final again. I think the team United did everything what they could, in keeping the squad together, but also in bringing in other players. And there's always the question, okay, are there really those players available that can make you better as well? And I think as a club, you need to make certain decisions about that as well. But But still, those 2 seasons, everybody was really up for it to do well again, of course, in Europe and to perform. But for some reason, no, we couldn't get there again.
Ferguson and United responded in the summer of 2001. They spent massive money. Juan Sebastian Veron and Ruud van Nistelrooy both came in. But at the time, it also meant, even for a big club like United, a balancing of the books had to happen as well. Now, you're one of a number of senior players who were called in to a meeting with board members. Can you tell us about that meeting? Which players were with you in that meeting and what was said?
You've got the whole squad, and then there's like 4 or 5 players who are like a small group who are like taking the honours, representative for the squad.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's what myself, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, I think those 4 players were it, and we had a meeting with United, with the board as well, and talking about the situation within the club, how everything's going within the squad. About what the club wants to do, what they need to do, and they give you some information. So it was, and they gave us some information as well about, okay, there's like in the budget they need to do something to fill that gap within the budget to to balance the books. Or I don't know exactly how you call it. And then we made like jokes as well at the end of the meeting, like, okay, well, then you just need to sell one of us, then it's fine. So then that's how it happened, and then everybody laughed, and then we just went out without thinking about about anything. So and then we just kept on, and we kept on going, and we just went into the training sessions again and playing as well, and then eventually, of course, everybody knows what happened.
But just after you say you guys laugh together about it. Yeah, one of us is going to have to get sold, and you joke.
No, it was just like a phrase, because
Sure.
It's the end of the meeting. Okay, we had this, and then somebody is throwing in this like line of in a bit of like a joke, and everybody starts laughing about it, and then everybody keeps on and goes his own way.
But you've just signed a 5-year contract at the time at United. So did you have any inkling what was about to happen?
No, you not think about it basically, because it's because you're doing well, you're playing well, and everybody is doing well for the squad, and then you just, like you say, you just signed a new deal and just thinking, okay, I'm just gonna keep on working and trying to do what I've been doing, and then that's it basically.
Then around that time, your book Head to Head, that comes out.
Yeah.
Did you expect, in your heart of hearts, that it would cause as much controversy as it did?
No, not at all. Not at all, because we wrote this book with the intention of just giving a bit of like inside information about how we work at United, how the atmosphere within the dressing room, and about certain players, and nothing about being or having criticism towards other people or players or managers or whatever, because it's not, because people say autobiography, it's not an autobiography, it's just a book about, at United as a player, my time over there, what we do, how we think, you name it basically. So and then of course, like you're saying, there's a lot been written in the papers about it, because was it the Mirror? They bought the rights. They bought the rights about in 4 days to make some, how do you say it, headlines and get certain pieces of that book within the paper, which is what nobody's reading. They only read like the big headlines, exactly. That was quite frustrating for myself at the time. Yeah.
Oh, I can understand that, but you're on international duty with Holland at the time.
I needed to go on the Monday. I remember very well, because these are things that you never forget basically, because the book came out on the Monday. The papers came out on the Monday morning, and on the Monday afternoon we had to join up with the national team. We played England on the Wednesday, I believe, because we played in the UK as well. I knew it was sold to the Mirror, so my wife said, I'm going to go out and get the paper, and then already like the first day I read the headlines, what was written in it, so I was like completely shocked in how it was set in or put in the papers basically, because it was not in how it was in the book, because you don't have the rights. If they sell it, well, you know it best. If they sell it, you don't have any, you can't make your decision in what they want or what they want to put above
editorial input from yourself.
No, so you can't do anything about that. So basically, I was quite shocked, that first day already. So I spoke to the manager, as well, and you know, I went to him, spoke to him about it, and he said, you know, don't worry about it, and I've had it with my book as well. And then I thought, okay, you know, but as long as you know what's been written in the papers, the headlines in the papers, it's not at all what it is in the book, in what they say. So and then I went to the national team, and then the second day and the third day it was the same again. So in that period, that week or half week, I didn't focus on football. I was only like with my mind on what was in the papers and what people were saying about it and what was written about it, and how people were acting because of this being into the papers.
So at the time, Sir Alex Ferguson is saying, look, I understand this has happened with my book as well.
Yeah.
But then after a series of these massive headlines that you've just spoken about, you return to Manchester.
Yeah.
What's Sir Alex Ferguson like then? How does he react? What do you talk about? What's your meeting like?
I went after the game. I went back to Manchester because we played at Spurs at the time, and the next day I told my wife as well, I'm going to go straight away early in the morning because I want to speak to the manager about what happened and everything, because I heard he wasn't too happy with everything. So I spoke to him and we had a brief conversation. You know, not the best, to be honest. And then I went back into my car and I went home. And then my agent phoned me. I phoned my wife, hang up. My agent phoned me and he told me, Jaap, where are you? I said, well, I'm in my car back home. And I just had a meeting, but I went back home and he said, well, you know, they're going to call you back because they've sold you. And then after that, when
Did you think he was joking?
I thought, yeah, he was. I thought he was joking, and then after that, I hang up, and then the manager, Sir Alex, phoned me, and he asked me where I was, and I said I was in the car halfway, from Carrington to my house, and then he said, wait for me, I'm going to come over. And then I spoke to him in the car, and they told me that, he told me that he was. They had an offer at Monaco, where all the teams from the Champions League came together. They had an offer, and they agreed it. So and he was going to be playing other players, and he brought in a different defender as well, who was on a free transfer, Laurent Blanc at the time. So and then I said, okay, but first I want to, and who is it? And then later he said, okay, it was Lazio, and then I said, well, I'm not sure if I want to go. So first I want to see, and I can always say I could have said, okay, you know, I want to stay at the club. I still have a contract. A long-term contract, and then be on the bench. But of course, everybody at United knew how I was as a person, how I am as a person. That I was never going to be on the bench and say, okay, you know, I'm going to be on the bench for half a season and then waiting for my opportunity again. I would have played eventually, I know that, but at the time, how everything went, you know, the how do you say it, the relationship is not anymore how it was, and then I made my decision to move on.
Just tell us about that. I just want to rewind a little bit. When Sir Alex Ferguson called you and said, where are you, after your agent had called, and you said you're on your way home, he said, wait, I'm going to meet you. Did he come to your house, or did he?
No, he came halfway. I was at the parking. There was like, on the right side, there was like a big shopping thing. I was there on the, I went out there and I was waiting there for him.
So, a few years before, you're in awe because Alex Ferguson has come you've had a meeting with him in Holland. He wants to come to Man United, and then the way your United careers ended is in a circumstance like that.
No, it's strange, but sometimes that happens in football as well. Everybody knows that it can go from year to year. You know, and,
so were you both in the car? He came into.
He came into my car. Yeah.
And was he speaking angrily? Was it a very calm conversation?
No, he wasn't angry, you know, because of course he knows my how I was and what state I was at the time as well, because we had that meeting before at Carrington at the time, and you know, so he was calm, but you know, he just, of course, he wanted to tell himself in what was the situation. So he came into the car, like I said, and then he told me the situation and what his thoughts at the time were. You know, that they had an offer. He wanted to play with somebody else, and maybe this was after my operation with my Achilles tendon, you know, that maybe they thought, you know, that I wasn't going to go back to that same level that I was, you know, but that they made a different decision, that brought somebody else in from abroad, and yeah, that they agreed this deal.
How long was that chat?
That wasn't long. I think maybe 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, because you know, and and again, like in the first meeting, and when I spoke to him, and to the last meeting, you know, of course, I didn't have a lot of stuff to say. Of course, my status and my personality was different, and he knew that as well. And you know, but at the time, I was like fuming, of course, and you know, that was it basically. After a couple of minutes.
Did you relay that anger to him at all?
Well, after that, for a long time, we didn't speak. They explained eventually the situation to me as well. And then I think we met up again, or we spoke to each other again when I was at Ajax Amsterdam, at my last season of my playing career in the Amsterdam tournament when we played United. That was the first time that I saw him. Again. Yeah.
And your relationship with him now?
Now it's good now. Well, relationship, you know, I've been there a couple of times. I met him a couple of times. The conversations were good already. Like I said, when I was at Ajax and we met each other in the hotel where this press conference from the tournament was, you know, we spoke to each other briefly. You know, I think everybody was over there, was waiting. Okay, there are going to be a lot of fireworks happening now in this hotel lobby. You know, but during my career and towards my end of my career, you start learning about how things are going in football, and that sometimes people make decisions. They need to make decisions. They need to make it in a certain way. Everybody's got their own reason for doing it in that way, basically, in making their decisions. I thought, and you know, I think, you know, they could have done it differently. Okay, but it went how it went, basically, and that's it. You know, a lot of things from that I learned a lot from it. You know, in being a manager now, basically in how to handle certain situations.
Sir Alex Ferguson has since said one of his biggest regrets was selling Jaap Stam. When you heard that, did you have mixed emotions, or did you have a little bit of closure about the whole situation?
Well, closure, it's not like, well, we don't need to be like, or make it very dramatic, you know, about, okay, in this whole situation.
But you understand it is very dramatic.
Yeah, it was in how it went, you know. Of course, I was angry and everything, which is understandable, I think, you know. I think Sir Alex Ferguson said, like you're saying, okay, biggest mistake, that's good to hear. You know, that he says that, you know, and then I've heard it from people in the UK as well. At the time when he said it, we're already like 4 or 5 years ahead, you know, in my career. So I've already closed that situation. It's good to hear, but you just keep on going. You can always hold a grudge or whatever about certain situations. You know, this is how it went. You know, I wasn't very happy at the time. I spoke to him now, well, even this year to him. And the situation seemed to be very okay. I still appreciate what he's done for me, you know, because of him, I became one of the best players in the world, one of the best defenders in the world as well. You know, I've been grown as a player, but also as a person, you know, in my personality. So I'm very thankful for him in what he's done, you know. But only this situation, no. Sure. Yeah, but that's how it goes. Yeah.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Yeah, but looking back, do you think that book and the serialization of that book was the reason you left Manchester United?
Well, they at the time they used it a bit, that book, you know, because it was hard from out of the blue basically say, okay, we're going to be selling Jaap without any reason. So they, in my feeling, they used that a bit, you know, to say, okay, you know, because of the situation it's not anymore how it was, and that's why we needed to leave. It was, you know, quite convenient maybe that the book was there as well at that time. So, but I'm always in how I am as a person, you know. I'm always. I think it's better to be straightforward and just say how it is.
That said, do you have any regrets writing the book or having it serialized?
I distanced myself from the book at the time because there was going to be a big launch at I think the fan shop at Old Trafford. We cancelled that. You know, I never got any royalties of that book, whatever. I distanced myself from the book, you know, because of that situation and what happened, everything. You know, maybe now, if you can do everything over again, I would have said, you know, I would have hold on to it and say, okay, no, there's nothing wrong in that book, so I'm not going to be distance myself from it anymore.
Jaap Stam, that was an absolute pleasure.
Correct, thank you. You're welcome.